There's a ton of everyone. That was my pitch.
We are living in a world on fire, full of sickness, disease, and fear. The world has made profit more important than the health of people.
Thankfully, we still have a way back to a healthy spirit, mind, and body.
The purpose of this Nature Makes the Rules podcast is to let people of all ages know that they can still have a strong and healthy life, no matter what the rest of the world is saying or doing.
We invite you to join us, Dr. Joe and Ilene, for the Nature Makes the Rules podcast.
Well, hello there. This is Dr. Joe Arve, along with my lovely wife, Ilene.
Hello.
And you are listening to the Spine Geek podcast, where nature makes the rules. And so we're so glad you're here. At any time during this podcast, you're like, hey, we want to check them out. You can always go to spinegeek.com, or you can always text us at 303-457-8080 with any questions that you have. Again, spinegeek.com or 303-457-8080. So, Ilene, let's talk about blue zones. Blue zones are basically, if you look at our blog on our website, we talked about blue zones. Blue zones are where people are like, these folks are a lot healthier than everybody else. They don't have the cancer, the heart disease, the diabetes, Alzheimer's, like the rest of the world does. So they call them blue zones because in this zone, if you would, around the world, okay, people are living a long time. They're living very well. Their bodies are functioning. All the body parts are functioning like they're supposed to, if you get what I'm talking about, right? They're still in a relationship. And they just have a lot more fun and a lot more longevity, and they don't have all the sickness and disease that the rest of the country has. And so they've been studying these blue zones, and the things we talk about on this podcast, the things that we've been living for since we've been getting together since 1987, when I first met you in the library at Eastern Michigan University, those blue eyes and that tan. I know I'm embarrassing you, but there's ways that we choose to live each day because, again, being strong is a 24/7, 365 thing that these people, guess what? They happen to do the same thing too, because that's just what their culture leads them to. And so I wanted to walk through some of these things. And so what do we do each day to help feel good, live pain-free, to have energy, to get good sleep, to have good relationship, and just to take care of ourselves so that, even in our 50s and our 60s, we're not there yet, in our 70s, 80s, we have a lot of living to do. So what can we be doing today to make sure that a better version of ourselves is coming tomorrow? And these folks, they do it naturally, but let's talk about what that is. So what's number one, Miss Ilene?
Strong social network.
Strong social networks. Does that mean that they're on Facebook all the time?
No. It means that they've got people at church. They are doing things. They're probably working or serving at church.
Yeah.
They're probably doing things like taking meals. To me, this is like old time living. Where if a neighbor needed help, you'd take them a meal. You would somebody at church needs something, you'd help them. You would serve at church because you love the Lord. It's like technically it's like old fashionedness that we need to technically get back to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It said that, blue zoners, that's what they call these people, have very strong social networks. That means that they're highly engaged in their faith-based community. So like you said, church, faith-based community.
Yeah.
And they're other-minded. It's not just about them. The world does not revolve around them. It says they have a sense of purpose in life, which I thought was another thing. They have a sense of purpose.
That's huge.
They have a reason to get up and go to work.
Somebody needs them, or they may meet somebody that day that needs something that they've got.
Right.
Yeah.
And even I was thinking about that, if you were a builder, you have to go out and build something. And then you complete that project, whether it's a house or a project, whatever, and then you go build another one because you did a good job on it. So they have that going. They have a sense of purpose. It says deep connection to their surroundings helps them remain optimistic and focused on the well-being of others, which means I'm living in this city, I'm living in this community. How I choose to go today and live today and treat others is how this community is going to go.
Right.
And then it says providing them with a sense of satisfaction that influences their life.
Right.
So they have a purpose, they have a meaning, they have a reason, and they want to be around others, like-minded people with that.
Right. Well, it's kind of this. The word that comes to my mind is kindness.
Yes.
I was going to the grocery store the other day, and I'm walking up, and this lady's just finishing her stuff, and and she wasn't a feeble woman or anything. And I said, because I'm going that direction, I said, "How about I take your cart?" And she was like flabbergasted that somebody would do something so kind. She just couldn't. I was like, "No, it's okay."
Right.
But she kept going, "Oh my goodness,"
Right.
So it's like it's just showing some kindness that you care about others.
And again, we're talking about what it takes to live strong and live healthy lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because the opposite, if you look other parts of the world, they're going to want you to isolate and stay 6 feet apart and don't connect
And don't talk and don't look
talk
at them.
and separate and literally isolation. So we're talking about the opposite. If you want to have more health and more healing, is your friends, your community, be around people you love, right? Versus the opposite message is say, no, isolate, be alone. And that has the opposite effect on your health, which we're seeing that too
Sure.
as well.
Yes.
Then number
Yes.
2 is daily movement. And it doesn't necessarily mean going to the gym, but their job requires them to move
Right.
and to lift and to do things.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Or maybe to cook or to garden or to take something to somebody else, to walk it to their place, or it's the movement. It's so you're not sitting, because
sitting is the new
nowadays
smoking. Yep.
sitting's the new smoking.
Yep. And so it said that exercise is an important part of the life in blue zoners.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean going to the gym every day, but you can, right?
Mhm.
Pickleball. Why is pickleball such a huge? Because you
Oh,
can
my-
move, right?
Yeah.
And living a lifestyle, again, keyword lifestyle, of low intensity physical activity, like walking and like gardening, like a bag a day, right? Of gardening, right?
Mhm. Yeah, a bag a day of weeds.
Yeah.
'Cause that's my thing.
Say that slowly. A bag
bag-
a day of weeds, pulling weeds.
I pull. Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Sorry. That's
no.
okay.
We've got a lot of weeds, and this summer's been very wet, and so I try not to overdo it. So I do one of the big old black 35 gallons or
Yeah,
whatever it
yeah.
is, and I'll do one, because boy, to fill that up, that's a lot of weeds.
And
then
it's
you
enough.
got to carry it to the garbage
And it
can.
gives you a purpose and a reason for tomorrow to do another bag. But it says by integrating exercise into their everyday lives, people in these regions can stay active and healthy without having to make conscious effort to do so. It's they're just moving daily. So they walk to work, or they walk to the store,
Yep.
or they ride their bike, or they're playing pickleball now, right?
Yeah.
But they're moving, they're getting up, and they have things to do.
Yeah.
It's not sedentary. It's not sitting all day in front of the TV. It's not
Right.
sitting all day watching video games. Okay, you young adulters and you young kids and
Or
stuff
gaming
too.
all the time. Yeah,
all
it's,
the time.
it's honestly the key word to everything is moderation.
Yeah, moderation.
You can't. Anything can become awful
Obsessive,
for you. That's
yes.
why the sitting's a new smoking, is
Right.
because you're sitting way too long, and so you just need to get up and move. You know.
Yep. Number 3 is healthy diets. It says traditional diets are rich in plant-based foods like fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts. Meat is eaten sparingly and usually in small portions. This diet provides blue zoners with essential nutrients while avoiding processed and unhealthy foods. Amen. And basically, so they're eating what they grow, they're eating what they kill, they're eating what they shop for. They're not going necessarily to the local supermarkets all around and buying their food, but if they are buying it, then they're buying it in its most natural state.
They're buying the ingredients. It's like my mind does this to me. It's like I look, and let's say I get a coffee at Starbucks or a coffee at a coffee shop, and then they've got all those goodies and they look so wonderful and tempting. And then I say, no, if you want something like that, you go home and make it.
Right.
And honestly, because it will taste so much better, because it looks so good, and then you taste it and you're like, ugh.
The ingredients.
But when you go home and you do it with your natural ingredients and your organic butter and that kind of stuff, and then you eat it, then it's so worth it.
Yeah. And
But it takes work, so you're doing more daily movement.
exactly.
Win-win.
More exercise, and you got to plan. and again, food is a message. Food is a message that you're giving to your hormones, to your brain, to your body, and you're telling those hormones to burn fat or to make fat. It's telling those muscles to get strong or to get flabby. It's telling your brain to be tired and depressed, or telling your brain to be full of energy. Food is fuel. And so what you're choosing, and they're not overeating. Sometimes they're just, and again, with the meat consumption, it's more natural, fresh fish, things like that. But they're eating food in their most natural state, and that's having a natural health effect as fuel on their bodies. And again, it helps them live longer and live better.
I also think that we are, I don't know if it was a commercial or where it came from, where it said, finish your plate. It's like, no, don't start off with smaller portions.
Right.
And then if you want more, go back for seconds. But to sit there and heap your plate up and tell yourself or your kids you got to eat it all, I think we're creating bad thinking.
Bad habits.
Bad habits. That, it's like, this is just a thing, but the French eat to no longer be hungry, not to be full and not to be filled up. They just eat to no longer be hungry. And I love that philosophy because it's like we tend to overeat in America.
Right, because we're in a hurry.
So
they don't take their time. And again, if you were to chew every piece of food,
oh my goodness,
how many is it 15 to 20 times?
Mm-hmm.
That has a whole different effect than you just gulping your food.
Yeah.
That just taking time to chew. And again, read Psalms 127. It says, do not eat the bread of anxiousness, meaning you're eating in peace. You're sitting there, you're talking, you're sharing with your family. Your whole state is in peace versus hurry up, gotta go, hurry, gotta get there, gotta get. It needs to be a time of rest and peace so that when you're eating, you can digest the food, digest the relationships and things like that. Like I find myself now, I'll go on my cell phone, right? And I'll pull up questions to ask my kids and my family while we're eating. Hey, tell me about this, tell me about that. Because if not, we don't talk. I mean, I have so many words I use up during the day. I'm a man.
Yeah.
When I get home, I'm out of words. But I also understand the value of having a meal with our family. And then, so I purposely, because I know I just pull up on my phone. Here's some questions to ask your family about their day, about vacations, about what's going on. And, it just makes the meal that much more rewarding.
Yeah. Kind of feels like a social time instead of a.
We do our best. And again, I'm not good at this. Ilene is good at it. The kids they do that. But me, I have to come up with creative ways to be engaged in my family. And I need to keep getting better at it because I didn't see that at my house. But again, so if you say, well, I'm not good at it. Listen, there's all kinds of stuff. Go to Pinterest, go to whatever, how to be a better dad, how to be engaged with your kids, how to get your kids talking and things like that. There's no excuses. You'd be surprised if you just talked less and listened more to what they had to say when you're answering those questions. Limited alcohol consumption. It says alcohol isn't consumed excess in these blue zoners. People typically drink moderate amounts to wine. There's your word, moderation, right? With meals. And there's usually a social component to the drinking experience. This helps reduce stress levels and makes it easier for people to connect meaningfully. So again, wine, alcohol is just part of the culture. They're not drinking to forget or drinking to medicate their depression. It's just part of what they do, and they have a hold on it, and it's not used in place of.
But if you look back at the culture, they were using like itty bitty glasses. They're not the giant wine glasses that you buy nowadays that are just like they hold like a half a bottle. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had one that's probably, I don't know, two like one shot glass would be what their wine would be.
Yeah, and they were introducing the wine, early in life with the kids. So the kids were like, "What? There's nothing taboo necessarily. It's just part of what we do, and we drink to be in relationship. We don't drink to forget. We don't drink to medicate. We don't drink to hide." We don't, we can go with or without alcohol. We don't have to have, alcohol to have fun. And again, for me personally, the older I get, alcohol is just not fun. My brain doesn't recover well if I have a glass of wine or something. So it's like, I pass. And that's such a good example for our family. I'm too busy trying to ask questions like, so what do you think of this? What do you think of that? But it is fun. It is fun. Sometimes it's good to get giggly. It's okay. Hey, here's another one, community engagement. And again, what these folks do is they just take personal responsibility for their mind, for their friendships, for their community, for how they eat, how they feed themselves. And so it says blue zoners are highly engaged in their communities. They know their neighbors. Again, boom. The world wants you to isolate and ignore people, and the garage door goes up, you drive in, and they don't see you again till you drive out. You have to start meeting your neighbors. Christmas is a great time. Bake up some cookies and start taking them to the people to your right and to your left and say, hey, maybe we don't talk much, but I just want to know that we appreciate you as neighbors. And here's some cookies, or here's something, here's some jelly or jam or something you can make up. And start there. Maybe only twice a year you do it, or once a year, but it's better than nothing.
Right. Because I think sometimes that they'll see your car if you're driving in, and they'll wave. I think that's also important. And sometimes it takes us to be the first.
You be the initiator. Yes.
Yeah. We have new people we're in a cul-de-sac, but at the end of the cul-de-sac, there's new people. And so I did stop by one time and just was like, hey. And so now when they see my car, they'll wave, where before they wouldn't even look up at anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And, driving through your neighborhood, waving at people. That's a way to be in the community. Just be friendly. And again, like Ilene said last time, be kindness. So they know their neighbors. They eat together regularly. They look out for each other's well-being. Again, if someone's left their garbage cans out,
right,
and you know that they're maybe gone, or it's just a little bit longer than usual, then take them up to their garage door for them. Be that guy. Using that. If you got kids, put them to work. Let them shovel the neighbor's driveway and stuff like that. You know, but just be others-minded. Be kind. Be the family on the block that's always looking to help each other. Their sense of connection to their surroundings is important factor to their longevity. Because the kindness you give out, it gets returned kindness back to you. Whether, just you feel better about.
So they like where they live and they don't want to move because they've got great neighbors and a great neighborhood that we watch out for each other. I mean, I'm always watching out for any stranger danger in my neighborhood.
Yep.
And then I go and make sure that I'm seen by the stranger danger so that they'll drive away.
Yep.
And not harm anybody. So it's the little things.
Or if their dog gets out or something like that, or something, it's just being others minded. Don't be so focused on yourself that you don't take time to stop and say hi to somebody as you grow, because you don't know. And it's not because you're trying to get something. It's just being the art of being neighborly. There's a great book out there called The Art of Being Neighborly by our friend Dave Runyon. But yeah. And the thing is, what I love about being a chiropractor is it's so funny. In our office, this is what will happen, Ilene, that a brother and sister haven't seen each other, and all of a sudden the sister starts coming in and getting adjusted, then the brother starts coming in and getting adjusted, and they'll show up at the same time, not knowing the other person is coming, and they have a chance to have community.
Family time.
Or a mom and a dad. So there's family members that I'll see the family individually, but there's time. Like we have one family where the oldest brother and the two sisters come, and they all have kids, and the mom comes, the grandma comes, and they'll all show up at the same time. And I thought, oh, did you guys call each other? No, we just showed up at the same time. We didn't know that. And yet the chance of community, because they're all getting healthy, they're all getting strong, they're all, they're achieving these things with moving and social networks, and they're really having fun being around each other. Our kids talk about someday, hey, it'd be cool to have like some land and have our houses, not too close, right? I want some space, right? But having where we're all still part of each other's family, part of each other's business still, and all still, because our kids they want to go on vacations with us. They want us to be around with each other. And so we've harvested that in our family, and you can harvest it too. And it's not too late. It's not too late. If you're the mom or the dad or the child or the son or the daughter that isn't, like my cousin Tammy, God bless her, she cultivates family. She's like, okay, we're going to get together and you're going to come and you're going to get along with your brothers and sisters, whether you like it or not. Too bad, right? You're going to do this. And sometimes you have to do that. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you're feeling down, or you want to get healthy, you want to get strong, you want to live a great life, then it's up to you. If it has to be, it's up to you. And so building community, calling your parents, and again, parents are parents, right? They make mistakes. They did the best they could. So give them grace, call them up, or send them a card, or write them a letter and just say thank you. Thank you. We love you. Thank you. And again, don't expect anything in return. Just do it. Call your children. Tell them you love them. Text them. Tell them you love them. Tell your boss thank you. It's just be other-minded.
Yeah. I was just saying to one of our kids this morning, I said, life happens day by day. It's the day-by-day stuff that matters in our lives, where we're what we do each day. So we don't overlook that, like, oh, I'm waiting for the big stuff to happen. No, the big stuff happens once in a while, but life and enjoying your life is day by day, even if it's like okay, I've got free time. I'm going to clean this. But you're still doing that for yourself and your family. And, you know,
The years are fast, but
Mhm.
the day is slow. Take the most of each day.
Make the most. Yeah.
You know, and we teach in our teachings and things about having a war plan. And a war plan is basically, like Dave Ramsey says, tell every dollar how it's going to be spent before it gets there. We tell every minute how it's going to be spent before it gets there. Meaning that, what time are you going to go to bed? Okay. Are you going to lay your clothes out before you go to bed? So that way you don't have to stand there and worry about that. And then what time are you going to get up? If your answer is, well, whenever, then that's just not a good management of your time. And you may not have the time to do the things you want to do, which is spend a few minutes praying with your spouse or hugging on your kids, things like that. And so it's important to have your time managed.
Your
time management
is time managed, but there should be some flexibility in there if somebody needs you, because that's what we're talking about with engagement of the community,
Right.
or engagement of social network, is that you still make the time to have moments with somebody who needs you.
Right.
Not to say, oh, I'm so scheduled, I've got nothing.
No,
so
but
there's got to
you
be.
put that time in though. So you put in, okay, when are we taking a vacation as a family? When are we going to have a date night? When are we going to call the kids? Stuff like that.
Yes.
And there's good seasons when we do it. Like, okay, like naps. You know, I have a time in my work plan when I take naps. I have in my time where Fridays I have time to give my best to what we need to get done. Do I do it perfectly? No, but I'm aware that each day needs to be filled with certain things, not just work, but also play, fun, chores. That the day is just not go, go, go until this project's completed. That there are times for rest. Again, go back to Psalm 127, right? Don't stay up too late and don't get up too early, because God's taking care of a lot of the stuff you work hard for while you're sleeping. And that's what it says in Psalm 127. Mm-hmm. So just be, again, these people have a pace of life that isn't rushed. It isn't hurried. They have a way of living that produces longevity, and they have the energy to pull it off. Mm-hmm. And so we're just asking you to be aware of that there's certain success leaves clues. And again, if you're struggling, if you want help, go to our website, spinegeek.com, and look for answers there. You can always text us your questions at 303-457-8080. There are communities out there. Again, that's the reason why we're doing this podcast, to talk about that how we've been living for the last almost 34, 35 years, raising 4 amazing kids, that we want to leave clues on how you can have an amazing life. You can have a strong life, but you have to take authority over it. You have to take control of it. You have to be able to say, okay, here's how we're going to be others-minded. Here's how we're going to choose to move on a daily basis that's fun. Here's what we're going to choose to eat most of the time, and then have fun and vacation days and things like that. Again, we're not, like Mrs. Arvey's, one of her favorite words is moderation, right? Not too much, not too little, but just enough to make life keep sweet and keep things going.
Mm-hmm. I think that what I see about these blue zone people is that they're not worried about social media. They're not worried about, do I have the latest hairstyle?
Right.
Am I being? They're looking at what they can do for other people. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean that they neglect themselves because their movement and all that, but that we need to put everything in perspective. Like nowadays, do we really need to be on our phones all the time?
Right.
There's a good point.
Are you on your phone because you're calling someone, or you on your phone because you're avoiding someone?
Right.
You're avoiding connection.
Right.
You want to be disconnected, so you get on the phone to disconnect from everybody else. Versus my phone is my life to certain extent. I'm on it. I'm working. I make it work for me. But it's not my toy. I'm not on it, just to avoid conversation. I'm not on it to be distracted, because it's a huge distraction.
Yeah. Well, I do see that, like, even in the airport, your people are on their phone, and so it's like their excuse to not look at you and not be polite, and they'll walk right in front of you or whatever, because they're on their phone. And it's like, that's not what they're for.
They're more interested in their phone and themselves, and in this make-believe metaverse thing, this make-believe world, and not the world that's around them. They're not willing to engage in the people and around them. And that can happen with married couples, that can happen in a family with children, that can happen around work. Our daughter, we talked about, one of the things about her job is that it just wasn't a fun community, and it was hard. And so if you're a boss and build community within your job, within your business, because that's important. People don't want to just come for money and a paycheck. They want to come to be part of the family and feel loved. And so always have this: others are welcomed to our home. Others are welcomed in this neighborhood. Others are welcomed in this church, in this school. I just heard a story about this little boy. I have a patient. He's a teacher at a deaf school, and this little boy from Venezuela came in, and he was really shy. He was really scared because this is all new world for him, and he didn't really speak a language, and he's deaf. And he said the teacher said it was so beautiful to see the children rally around this little guy, and by the end of the day, he had best friends, and he couldn't wait to come back the next day.
That's so sweet.
And that's how we should be as a family. That's how we should be, and that's hopefully what this podcast is for you, as we want to just share things that help life become better for you.
Right. And I think that we need to all just sometimes just stop and take a look.
Yep.
What are we doing? Are we on our phones too much? Are we on our, are we avoiding people? Are we not looking in their eyes? Are we not being kind? I think we should do a little introspection.
Yeah.
Of our lives, and say, is there a place that I need to work on?
Yeah. We can look up and say, God, thank you for today. We can look around and see if there's anyone that could use our help. And then we could look in the mirror and say, okay, did I take care of this person today? Do I like this guy? Am I proud of what this person's doing today? And if not, then look up again, say, God, help me. Look around to find someone who needs my help. And then again, at the end of the day, lay there and say, okay, I did the best I could. I was not just me focused. I was other focused.
I think you'll have much more joy in your days if you do, you try to do something.
You have a purpose. You have a mission to help one person smile and have a better day. And if you change one person's life, you've made the world a better place. So thank you for listening to another Spine Geek podcast, where nature makes the rules.
Yes.
This is your host, Dr. Joseph Arve and Ilene Arve. And again, anytime if you want to check more of this stuff out we're talking about, you can always go to spinegeek.com. You can always text us at 303-457-8080. We'd love to connect with you, and we'll see you next time. And don't forget to like and subscribe, and please share this podcast, share this information with someone who's looking for help. We love you. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.